ask more questions, but the first thing is how has been the journey? Because I think I'm more curious to know, how the journey has been from the other side to being on this side.
I actually don't even feel like I'm on the other side. So just for those, like Vani said, I think for those that don't know my background, there is a very nice logo there. That's the older logo of Urban Ladder. And thanks to Vani and Sampath that came on the wall here. But we started Urban Ladder in 2012 along with my co-founder Ashish. And Ashish and me go back a long way. We are batchmates from IIM Bangalore. So a bunch of you here, I understand, are doing a fellowship. And so I think for us, the journey, and we had two different journeys just to touch upon that, which is right after IIM, I went to the tech world. I was in the tech world before IIM also. So went for 6 years in enterprise, learned that enterprise is not my thing. Then shifted to consumer with Yahoo for 4 years. I loved building products. So 10 years of just building products. Then became a founder, thanks to Ashish, thanks to Vani. A lot of those journeys right at the start, I can imagine. We started with some other idea, and we met Vani. Vani said, "This is crap. Like this is please, this is not the, We actually said. So our first idea, funnily, in Urban Ladder was, and I attribute a lot of that thinking to Vani there, right? Which is Ashish and me said, okay, we'll do grocery online, and of course this was the time before Big Basket, and we went to the market for one sort of weekend, and we said, okay, this is just too process oriented, nothing too innovative. It's going to be a scale business, but this is not the business that we want to do. And then we said we'll do something for, and we actually named, funnily, the company called Con Ladder. I don't even know if Vani remembers this, but we actually named the company Con Ladder, not C-O-N, C-O-R-N Ladder. And we stuck onto the word ladder from then on. This was September 2011. And over the next 3 months, we were very clear we wanted to quit and do something. But we literally thrashed one idea after the other. And somewhere around, Vani was, one of the first people that we met actually. The first VCs that we met, Ashish knew her from a past life. And we came and pitched saying, we'll do everything for you. And she said, Myntra in my portfolio already does this. And, some other company does this. What are you guys going to do? So then we said, we'll do home decor. And one of the things we said, we'll do everything. And then we said, okay, let's just go after furniture first. And that was something that we said we want to tackle the hardest category. And we were planning to source furniture at that time from Bangalore, and Vani said, have you even visited Jodhpur? And we said, okay, let's go visit Jodhpur. And from then on, really started the Urban Ladder journey. This was 2012. Of course, fast forward now to Vamsi's question. So somewhere around 2019, June, July is when I decided I'll move out. And I spent the next 6-7 months pretty much eliminating a lot of stuff. I said, okay, at that point in time, it was either going to be freelance, and I remember having met Vani also during that gap, or do something of my own. Of my own, I think there was a bit of a burnout right at that time, and said, that was not going to happen. And somewhere it was just 1 week before the first lockdown, March 20th, 2020, so March 15th or so. I had eliminated everything. I think I had taken a 2-day trip to Andamar or something, came back, blank slate, didn't know what next. 7 months had passed, and then I get this ping on LinkedIn saying, we are Antler, we would love to talk to you. We have been trying to set up India for 12 months, and do you want to talk? I had no clue who they were. Started talking, and then COVID, of course, hit. And during those 3 months, pretty much a lot of the other conversations, I had initiated certain other conversations. Everything else came to a complete standstill. And then the Antler conversations took off. Over the next 10 weeks, I actually talked to a variety of people. I had actually said I will not be a VC right at the start, saying that, let me just help people, let me just help founders. During those 6 months, a lot of, when I put on LinkedIn that I'm moving out, I talked to almost 60-70 different founders, and it felt like there was a lot to do. But if you're helping founders at the very early stage, you'd rather be an investor or be a founder. And there's nothing in between, right? And that's what I realized very quickly during those 6-7 months. So fast forward now, it was around May. I had talked to these folks. It felt like super exciting. The people I had never done something international. I had always been in India. 1 year, in Cognizant, I was in Zurich, hated it, came back running to India. But then said, okay, let me do something international with some of these folks. And the best part about Antler was it was still very early stage. Antler itself, for context, how many of you have heard of Antler or know of okay, very few. So let me give you a context for Antler. So Antler was started by this gentleman called Magnus in 2017-18. He was an operator. He was ex-Rocket. He had run a massive company called Zalora. He had started it, sold it to Global Fashion Group, ran the Global Fashion Group. So someone who is Scandinavian by origin. All the founders were all Norwegian, and very focused on performance, but also he was ex-McKinsey. married the McKinsey concept of culture and people. So it was almost like a amalgamation of the McKinsey, the Rocket, as well as Y Combinator. This was sort of the three inspirations for Magnus at that time in 2017. And he said, I'm going to build this completely global, decentralized VC platform, which is going to help people through that journey where they move from employee to founder. This was sort of his thing. And he said he's going to democratize entrepreneurship across the world, not just do it in a few countries, but really can we be in every single country where there is smart talent that does not know how to become a founder or just is struggling to actually make the journey from employee to founder. And I found that vision extremely exciting. Also found a lot to learn because these are people that had a phenomenal set of operators. So all of the people who were founders of Antler were operators. They had no VC background. And if you go back even to the Y Combinator starting of Paul Graham, there's a lot of history to his operator energies. And Vani is a great example. She's been an operator, run a company before, and there's just a very, very clear distinctive advantage if you've been a founder, or if you've been an operator or a founder before you actually come into a VC. So I felt, okay, this was a place which had a great vision. At that time, Antler was managing $65 million. So it was just a 2-year-old company. It was in 5 geographies, too early. So you were making a bet all through Zoom on people that I just did not know. And I don't remember if I mentioned to you. There was a bunch of other conversations happening. I put everything sort of to rest, and on June 1st sort of came on board saying, okay, let's make a bet at 40, making a bet on people whom I've never met in my real life, in an industry where I have no background, to actually start this. And for me, the exciting part was this was almost going to be a founder journey. So to your question, I think the last 3.5 years of Antler have been very similar to the first 3.5 years of Urban Ladder. Literally starting up from scratch, setting up the private limited company, to getting a license from SEBI, to finding my co-founder. I knew Ashish, I didn't know Nitin from a past, so sort of met Nitin around literally a month after. Antler actually introduced Nitin to me. Spent the next 4-5 months sort of converting him because I didn't have a VC background, and you really needed someone with a strong VC background to set up an institution which was in the business of investing people. So he came on board January 2021. And I think those 6 months, Nandini, who was the first Urban Ladder employee, Mani and Sampath know her very well, she was just moving out of her startup which had to be shut down post-COVID. So I got her in as the first team member in Antler too. And from then on, I think the journey in the last 3.5 years, as we had to raise capital from scratch. We ended up just completing our first fund raise on March 31st. It took way longer than we anticipated, so it's now a 600 crore fund, $75 million fund. And really setting up the team today, we are 19-20 people strong. A lot of the people, a bunch of ex-Urban Ladder, variety of our networks. Pretty much we've done, sector agnostic, and it hasn't really felt like we're a VC as much as, of course, I've learned the ropes of what it is to find or excite a founder versus exciting an employee. So there are lots of it which are different. Building the ecosystem, building the brand. Brand Antler has been very similar to brand Urban Ladder. Very approachable as people, but very sort of a bit premium on, at least the vibes that it gives to founders. So we've had a reasonable start, I would say. I don't think I would have had it any different. I think I've been very, very lucky to have a lot of well-wishers in the ecosystem, not just all of you, but a variety of VCs, a variety of media folks that have made this journey much easier. Literally, some of the first finance, was all thanks to Karthik. Literally asked him as to what are the things, how do you set up a fund, the SEBI, all of that stuff. I think it's just been a tremendous journey in the last 3.5 years. We still have a long way to go. No one knows success in this journey till year 6, 7, 8. But I think the start has been fantastic. And I think the way today Antler manages across 28 countries, we manage $1 billion. We have 1,100 companies in the portfolio. India is only 55 of it. I think it's been phenomenal to see that journey across Antler globally also. We sort of get together once in every 6-9 months, and I think it's been a very different journey that way. Sort of building that brand Antler in a reasonably crowded market like India. But I think it stands for something which is slightly distinctive, has an international flavor, very focused on pre-seed, literally at the stage at which it is. There aren't too many players at that stage outside of angels and stuff. So I think it's been able to, very similar to Urban Ladder that way, establish a bit of a niche on what it does. And of course, the journey is just pretty much starting. Long-winded answer, but just as a background, I think helps for
The
everyone.
interesting thing I sense is that you're doing especially what Vani had done with you in terms of finding the founders and then also trying to figure the product and all that stuff, right? In that sense, when you guys are doing Antler, of course, are you looking at product ideas or founder ideas? Because it's always a chicken and egg thing, right? And we talk about product market fit, founder market fit. There's so many things which we look at. How are you guys looking at right now, and what are the things that you are seeing? Because of course, that there's so many challenges with initially bringing together a team, right? Forget the product part. Just keeping the team together, aligning them to achieve something is a larger challenge. So, how do you kind of work on those things, and what are challenges you've seen?
I think this is like preaching to the choir. I think you folks know this way better than us. I think it's still a learning journey for us because we understand the mortality from pre-seed. So we will have a portfolio of around 120 companies, and if everything goes great, I think we will probably hopefully have 3 or 4 big winners, right? And that's sort of from 120 companies, which essentially means you're investing in almost 20 to 30 companies every year. We see almost 8,000 to 10,000 people every year. And Antler has 2 different products at some level. One is where you get someone in as an individual who's looking for a co-founder. So, again, I'm just going to the next level detail just so that the context of the rest of it is easier. There it is really as an individual, if you're a business person, we look for someone who is really passionate about wanting to build something, right? And the whole concept of finding a co-founder outside of your network is very new in India, right? Because it's Indian social cultural norms generally make you want to actually have a co-founder from your past network. But post-COVID, thankfully, I think people have been more open, and I think this worldwide now we have a lot